All right. Are we live? It looks like we're live. Fantastic. All right. So, guys, I've been wrestling, uh, wrestling around with technology, and so I'm now using StreamLabs, and I figured out bringing the camera in and everything. So, hopefully, this will be a much better experience for you guys. So, what we're talking about today is the Book a Room template. Now, Microsoft provides this. Let me bring this up. So if you go look right here, start with an app template. And there's a lot of people that are interested in Book a Room. In fact, the last two workshops for the last 2 weeks, we had the workshops on Friday afternoons. Almost everybody except one person, they wanted to focus on something else. But and that one thing was the onboarding tasks. The rest of them wanted to do the Book a Room. Sounds sort of funny to say Book a Room. Anyhow, and this is what you get when you do this. Now in the workshop, we are in the process of remastering. Does that look better? What do you guys think? Maybe I can move myself around a little bit here. All right. Old, new. Old, new. All right. We'll get into it here in a second. All right. So I'm going to try to make myself a little smaller and maybe put myself in the corner. Okay. And here is the project. And we also have the original here. So if we need to go back and look and see what they did, we could do that. So as you can see, we've sort of revamped this first page that they called the landing page. Now let's make sure the app start screen actually names the screen, and it does not. That tells us that this was created much earlier, or at least earlier than when they created the start screen. So there we go. So just in case you move that landing page down, it will always start on that screen. Yeah. Okay. Now let me show you some stuff that we added in the app formulas. You guys will probably be very interested in that. Now this application doesn't use any databases, SharePoint list, Dataverse, none of that. But they are using Outlook, which is an essential part of this. And we have Office 365 users that allows us to get at the Azure AD or the intra profile information. Then, of course, we have some columns here, but that's it. As of right now, there's no data source. So I am going to go in here. I'm going to go to formulas, and we started adding some things here. I wanted to have a way to show or hide debugging information. So we set a default border radius. We've got a label height. Here's the theme HR color. Oh, HR stands for horizontal rule, just like in HTML. You do an HR, it gives you a line. So as you see here on this screen, I wanted to use a gray for these two lines here. Now, you probably notice what we have here on the screen. There's a gradient. It starts off with this light blue and it goes to dark blue. Now, how did I pick those color values, you might ask? Well, what I did was I looked at the color theme, and let me go to the old one. Um, the first thing I decided is I don't like this blue. I'm not sure that it really is a blue. Has a hue of blue, maybe. I don't know. But that color matches this color. And I really like this blue color. So what we did is we went over to the modern themes and we created our own Bookaroom theme. Now, I want you guys to notice something here because they've been improving this interface. Here's the name of the theme. That is the font that I like. And yeah, I put in a hexadecimal for that blue color that had that button right down here. And if I was going to use a darker blue, I was going to use one of these down here. Now, you guys notice anything that looks cool? You can, so it tells you background colors for primary buttons and for active selected states in input fields. Okay, now as we hover over these, it gives us more information. It tells you how to use them. Pressed states, active borders, or background hover. So you can look at all this. What's the darkest one? Text and high emphasis elements such as primary text, borders, and important icons. Okay, if we go over to the light side, a near white background surface and placeholder. Now, so I believe that that is new. I just noticed that during our workshop yesterday. If you click on one of these, look at this. So if you wanted to have other colors, you know, you could. So let's say I wanted a red. We could add in our values so we can have, something besides shades of one color. So that's great. I'm going to hit reset because I like what we have going on over here. And I'm going to hit cancel. Now I want to show you something else we did in the workshop. I created a theme screen. And I wanted to display the name. if you say app dot theme, you've got a dot font, you have a dot name, and you have dot colors. So here are all the colors that we can get at here. And what I did here, see this? Colors, font, and name. So this is the structure that you'd want to, it's actually in JSON. But if you take off the double quotes on each of these field names, then you could actually, put this into app formulas or do with it whatever you want. Okay, now look at what I did here. I used the JSON function and I told it to make it pretty. So I said JSON format indent 4. And I realized this the other day and I'm like, oh, wow, I could have an object in memory, a record, and I could just use this JSON and it will create something like this. And you don't have to make it pretty. So that indent 4, we could just say compact. All right. Flatten value tables. Okay. Ignore unsupported types. That's interesting. Include binary data. So if you're wanting to turn an image into a base 64 string, I would use that one right there. But indent 4 looks pretty to look at here. So I'm going to keep my eyes on the comments. I'd love to hear from some of you. And I'd like to know what you guys think of everything that I'm showing you. Now, let's see, what did I do here? I want to reuse this and I want to paste it in my GitHub repository so it's easily accessible. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. All right, here it is. So I might do something like down here on themes. See, I don't have a theme folder. Maybe I'll create one. But as you can see, I've got a lot of folders in here. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. And I might create this as a component. Okay. Okay, here's some information if you're going to build a component. So this is from PNP. I don't know if that's really Microsoft, but I think it might be like a user group. It's a community open source projects and samples. And a toolkit curated repo of Power Apps, UI guidance and components that you can plug and play in your apps. So just while we're here, an app bar. What does an app bar look like? Okay, that doesn't look bad. What about a banner? You see that? Here's a button. Oh, bottom navigation. Okay. So what I want to do is share some of my components in here. And this material components repo on GitHub shows you examples of good UI. And I agree, this looks nice. Now, it could use some color, but I appreciate they stuck with white, black, and shades of gray. And you can do with it whatever you want to. Yeah, it's got a lot of good information here. In fact, what happens? Yeah, I'm not going to go down a rabbit trail. So this is out here. Recommend that you guys check it out. And I'm just going to get the root URL. I'm going to share that in the chat. And there we go. All right, so let's go back to this guy. And what's nice about this template that Microsoft released is that there's a screen with documentation. A lot of these templates do have something like this, but everything sort of looks weird. So maybe we'll move this up there, move that up there. I can move that over there. I think what we should do in all of these is set up the width to be app.activescreen.width divided by 2. There we go. And for these two, let's set up their X to be right there in the middle. There we go. So I think that looks nicer. It's getting remastered. Right. All right, so let's go up here. Now, I created this debugging flag. A lot of times they're called flags in programming. So if I turn this on, I go back to landing screen, you'll notice some additional labels. So if you click on this button, you're going to be going to the meeting select screen, which is this screen. And it's got some issues. So we'll probably address this screen next. inside this button that has a lot of code, if there's no room list, so that's a global. See that it's blank. Yeah, it is a Boolean. Okay, that's good to see. And perhaps, yeah, you can see if we do a search for this here in this code block, it's not in here. But if you go to the on start, there's a lot of code in here. And that's, again, based on the room list that we get up here. Now, something I did in the last 2 workshops, I'm sorry, I'm burping a lot for some reason. So it sets up this calendar localized label, and it creates this collection. And something else that we did was for every variable and everything like this, none of them were started off with COL. In fact, if you go over to variables here, look at all these globals. None of them start with the GBL. And maybe they came out with the best practices white paper after they released this. But, with variables and control names, it's typically a good idea to prefix things so you know what they are when you see them in code. Like, for all I know, any of these things could have been like a SharePoint list, So there's that. Now, if you go over to the remastered app, you see GBOs. Now, there is some stuff that we hadn't gotten. So I went through all of the app on start. I cleaned things up. I added comments. They have a concurrent function here. And in that case, I like to make it very obvious. Hey, this is one of the concurrents. Here's the second one and what it's going to do. 3, or the third. And then we have the fourth down here. Now, it looks like we have some errors. I think this is where we left off yesterday. So I think that I should fix these errors here momentarily. Okay. Yeah, they did something really odd. If you go look at what they did in the app on start, whenever they look, what would be easy is if I just hit format text. There we go. I probably did that starting out because I can't imagine going through all this and formatting it all. So somewhere here near the bottom, you'll see they do a lookup and then they say value. That's really weird. If you give lookup just 2 parameters, it's going to give you the record. Now, if they had provided value as a third parameter, it would have just given us the value. It doesn't look like we're using this anywhere else because it's not being placed into a variable. I'm talking about this record. After you add the dot value, well, that's something else then, All right, so that needs some attention. And by the way, guys, we're working on this in the workshops, but if you go to this GitHub repo that I created and you want to get at these, I'm going to make them available here. Okay. Now there are links in the video descriptions, and if you don't see them on Facebook or LinkedIn, then just hop over to Power Apps YouTube, and it definitely will be there. So when I stream, a lot of times I get uh, warnings like, hey, that platform doesn't allow this or that. But there's a link to our free community there. And if you're like, oh yeah, I'm in the free community, well, if you were in the school community, we're actually moving to um, a community I think is actually better, has a lot more features, and they don't charge me anything. So school, because I was running 5 communities for different reasons, I was paying them $500 a month, which may not be much for some people, but that's I'm trying to minimize all the business expenses that I can. So anyway, um, so this will be available now. If you just want to get at the repo, so by the way, this is the free community on WAP. There we go, and they have an app, and we got file downloads and um, good category categorization of my free content that's on YouTube. And it's taken me a while to move everything over to WAP. So if you come in and it's like, well, that doesn't have as much stuff as you had over on school, I'm in the process. um, you guys may not know this, but between my accelerator program and everything else, all my offerings, all my courses, I have thousands of items to move over. As you can imagine, that will take some time. So I just wanted to mention that because a lot of people have been asking, like, hey, I don't see this over at WAP. I'm like, yeah, just give me a few days and hopefully it'll be there. Okay, so if you go to Power Apps Darren, which is just my GitHub profile here, and scroll down, there are 2 pinned repositories. So there's my snippets I showed you guys a few minutes ago, and here's the remastered ones. I thought I clicked on it. Yeah, I'll try to make it easy on you guys and paste this in the comments. Okay. Okay, so I shared that link. Okay, so for example, what I could do is I could save. I should have just click publish. If you want to follow along with me, maybe not everybody would follow along, but some people might. I'm going to create a file. I do a save as, and I'm going to put that up there. And here within VS Code, this is Bookaroom. I'm going to right click on that and say Reveal in File Explorer. And it's over here. And I'm going to put yesterday's date because I really haven't done too much to the project yet. So that was the 13th. And there it is. And I really do like VS Code. I really do like GitHub and the Git application that you don't have to use GitHub. You could install that stuff anywhere because it itself is open source. And the guy that created Git was like beyond genius. I think go check it out or read their free book. You go to their website; they've got a free book. Um, that's pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, um, I'm going to click on this folder, and there is my new file I just put here. Okay, so I'm going to go over to source control. I also have an extension that will auto commit things for me. And maybe it did it really fast that time. Dot. Control S. You see right there? Okay. So I'm going to hit that check mark, like added. Did you know that the PowerFX language is open source and is out on GitHub? It's pretty cool. All right, hit the check mark. Do you want to say blah, blah, blah? Yes? Okay. So that's just committed within Git here on my desktop. And once I hit sync changes, within seconds, you guys will have it here. So if I go into app templates, book a room, there it is right there. I'll put the date on that guy. All right. All right. So the first screen I want to work on is this meeting select screen, which is this one right here. And let's look at the color blue, because it may not be exactly the same here. So I need to go look at fill. Now this is a label, just FYI. And I don't know if that's the exact color code that we have, but I'm just going to say app.theme.colors.primary. I think that's pretty close. Now, what I like to do for like headings, I want my headings to be as dark as possible and use bright colors on it. I just believe that headers look a lot better that way, you know, is you have things that pop out of dark colors. So it's my personal belief, but okay. Now I can tell you that this, okay, it is a button. And what I notice about these buttons, they're not consistent from screen to screen on their border radius. So I'm going to type in here my FX border radius default, which is 10. Okay. And I also need to go in here because the radius, you might think it's one number, but it's actually 4. So sometimes when you update this, it doesn't update the others. Look at that. It's still 5. So what I'm going to do is say self dot the one that we did cover. And there's a reason I don't reference for all 4 of them back to that FX value, because I'm always going to want the border radius to be the same for all 4. So I set it on one of them and then have the other 3 look at it. You always want to create applications in a way and just assume that you're going to want to change everything in the future. And I'm saying that in a way like be very pessimistic, because either you might make the decision, that doesn't look good, or I'm going to change that, or somebody gives you a suggestion, or the users are complaining about how you did things, and it's always annoying no matter what you do when people complain. But I sort of learned something by interacting with people from Microsoft, believe it or not. And I've seen people at conferences just go off on Microsoft people, and I don't think that's cool. But their response is almost universal. You know how you go to Chick-fil-A and You say, "Oh, thank you." They'll always say, "My pleasure." So with Microsoft employees, it seems like the standard response is, "Thank you for that feedback." So, and if you think about it, even though the complaint or the feedback hurts, and believe me, I'm talking about this because it's relevant for your career, because you're going to get a lot of this. Um, there's always going to be somebody that's giving feedback or complaining. And I came up with a saying, which is all feedback is good feedback, because maybe the complaint isn't well founded or whatever, but you're doing a disservice to yourself in your own personal growth and development. Um, if you do something, like I create an app and everybody says, "Wow, that's great, Darren." I'm like, "You guys need anything changed?" No. Well, how, did Darren grow that day? No. Did I improve anything? I actually get really excited once I find something on the Power Platform, specifically Canvas Power Apps, um, where someone says, "Hey, you could do this." I'm like, "Really?" I get so excited because I feel like after I felt I got to a point where I had mastered Power Apps, I'm like, well, there's not really much to learn. Well, not only does Microsoft keep throwing out releases constantly, uh, which is a good thing. I wouldn't want this thing to be static and never changing or never improving. But I'd encourage you guys, and this could apply to almost any profession. Whenever you get criticism, and some of it is, some people are malicious, some people are, they want to tear other people down. Maybe they're jealous of what you've done or your position. I've had people be jealous over what cube I sat in, and I'm easily distracted, and I asked for a certain part where not a lot of people pass by, and like people were mad at me for that. So um, don't expect all criticism to be constructive, but in all of them, I look for, hey, what in this can I take responsibility for? And that's actually something that I've heard from Kurt. If you guys remember Kurt, he did a lot of live streams here, and he was my mentor, and so he's taught me all kinds of things. But anyhow, let's get back to it here. So we have this button that is the same color as this label, and I don't think that looks good. Let's go over to our theme screen. And okay, well, something that we could do, since Microsoft gave us this, we can go into our palette here. 70, text and high emphasis elements. Okay. Secondary text, headings, selected states. Okay. But I think this one, press states, active borders, or border hovers. So they'll actually tell you what you should use for different purposes. Hover states of secondary elements, hover states, light borders, secondary action text or borders. So it's telling me, based on this, darker 50, which is right here, and it is darker. I think that's great advice. So darker 50. So I'm going to click on this guy, and I'm going to go over to this, and I'm going to say darker 50. Oh, look at this. It's using a transparent fill, it looks like. So I, I hate this. So with a lot of these properties, if you just click on it, it brings up stuff up here in the coding window. And if I click on color, it brings me to the color, which is nice. But the property I want to get at is the fill, which is this one. Now I don't have the word fill here. It'd be nice if the word fill was right here that I could click on, but hey, whatever. And I don't think these blues are from my modern theme, and I don't see them here either. So I need to go up here and put it in there. But now I've got to go over and think about what the letter where the letter F starts in the alphabet. I know, really hard, right? All right, so I'm going to say app dot theme dot colors, and this one we want to be primary. Now, we do have an issue here. So we have a graphic and it's got something weird on this side. So let's look at this in more detail. That, if we go to multimedia, and another I've got great feedback if ever somebody from Microsoft is watching my videos. Look at this. We got 4 more items, and I got to click on the ellipsis to get at them. But we have plenty of space here. Why do that? And also, I mean, now this we might run out of room, but display as many as you can before giving me the dot dot dot. So these are just things that sort of slow me down, and as you guys can tell, sometimes I can go really fast, and I'm actually trying to slow down so it's easy to follow. So I am gonna go now. I'm forgetting what I was gonna do here. Okay, so here are, and I think it's this one. Here are the images that came with. So isn't that weird? It's got something going on. What is this? This is, okay, what I need to do with this, which is what I did with this guy. I had to bring that into a graphics program and remove the background. And I think eventually I'm going to turn it into a PNG so I can like set the color of those things. And then we could use these designs in other apps. Why not, huh? All right, so this, yeah, there's that icon. And we got a home background. Okay, so this is the one that I did a background removal on. Okay, so yeah, there is something going on with that. I'm like, what? So let's see what we can do here. I think what I'd like to do is go get a circle. And yes, we have a circle control. All right. Okay, it's using my primary. That's great. And let's see how big we want this to be. I'm going to reference this label, and I'm going to give this thing a good name, LBL screen heading. All right. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to go over to this circle here, and I'm going to give it a good name. Circle. I don't know. Help me out, guys. What should I name this? Circle container for icon. It's pretty descriptive. But in the X, I should be referencing that label. It's X. And I should be referencing its Y. Okay. And I can tell you that the width, it should not exceed the width of the label. I'm sorry, the height. Okay. And then what we'll do, did I add that container? I think I might have. I was going to say, I'd be impressed if they put that in a container. There might not have been containers when this thing was created. Okay. So I am going over here. So the width has been set to the height. And the height, I'm going to set to self width because it needs to be a square anyway. And then what I'd like to do, I want to go into app formulas and I want to come up with some type of padding that we can reference. FX padding defaults. And let's make that a record so we can have multiple values in it. That'd be nice. And I'm going to say small. I think I'm going to start off with tiny and call this, and have it be 4. The small, I might make that 10. Medium, it's going to be 20. And then large will be 40. And I'm gonna give one here called huge. 100. Okay. So we got that done. Now what are we gonna do here? Well, I want there to be some spacing all the way around on this circle. So on the X, that actually needs to be X. But I'm going to say plus padding defaults. And you see they're not in alphabetical order. Well, that sort of stinks, doesn't it? How can we solve that? I want to see them in the order I just put them. And I was going to wrap the sort around this, but that's not going to work. Trying to think of a way to do this. I guess I don't have a way to do that. So I could put numbers right here. I don't think I like that. I don't have to get too complicated here, but I want to use tiny. Okay. So plus tiny. And then on the Y, we're going to say LBL screen heading dot Y, and then we add in the padding. And then on this, for the width, we'll take the height of the label and let's add on here the width. We need to subtract this though. I'm going to go into width, and the height uses that. I almost feel like these need to be reversed. So I'll take that out and put it here. And then over here on width, we'll say self dot height. Okay. Now something else I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that and put it in there. There we go. And I'm going to move this to the back. But it needs to come back or come forward 1 at least. Okay, there we go. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply tiny by 2. Okay. So now we got 82, and this guy is 90. Okay. I think the tiny might be a little too tiny. So I'm going to say 6. That looks better. And then what I'm going to do with this image, which I'm going to have to sort of fix because it's got that weird thing on the corner. So I'm going to reference the circle, which should look like a container to this logo. So the X will be its X plus padding defaults. And let's use tiny. For the Y, we'll do the same thing. Make sure that's a Y. Now the width and the height, we'll say circle, container for icon, its width, but we need to subtract fx padding defaults dot tiny times 2. Yeah. And then for the height, do something similar. We'll reference that guy's height, and that should all be good. Oh boy. I'm going to increase this by 3. Let's see how that goes. And that means we'll have to multiply this by 1.5, I think. Now, that's looking to, yeah, it needs a little more. So I'm going to go with 4. 4. Well, I am so pleased with StreamLabs once I got it all configured. So I'm not having any issues with my camera or anything. It's nice. I don't like to cover up the property bar, so I can move it in real time. It's great. I got a lot more control. Okay, so the width and the height, that's looking good. Now that looks good. Okay, so something else that we can do, image header icon. That's what we'll call it. And one of our problems here is that it's a square. So guess what we can do? We got a border radius. And let's say fx padding defaults, and let's use small, which is 10. Okay. So there we go. Need to make sure it makes it all the way around. Look at that. Self dot that. Wondering what this error is about. I think that's that thing that we need to address in the app.onStart. So we're filtering this, and that thing doesn't have anything in it, does it? It's probably a blank or an error. You know, something I'll take a look at here. Check this out, guys. Do I have anything in on air? I don't. This is an exciting moment for me because over here in the repository, if I go back and go over to snippets, we go into errors. Catch all errors. Fantastic. Now all you have to do, just paste over the code and boom, it works. So I've got some documentation, the official Microsoft documentation. If you want to really understand error handling, I need to create some more videos about it, but until then, you got all this documentation. Oh, you have to include the Office 365 Outlook if you want to email, which this actually does. It emails things out. So I've got, I think, 4 or 5 steps here, but they're optional. You don't have to. Okay. It's just like, hey, you might want to have an application name that you can reference inside the app. For example, you know what? I wonder if I could say something like app.name. That would have been cool, huh? Well, let's see if it's anywhere in here. I don't think it's in there. Okay. This is going to be called book a room. I could call it V2. I could call it remastered. All right. And then the application URL, I got 2 options. You can actually put in the URL that the user sees. Notice the word play in there. And over here, this will bring it up in this editor. So I'd recommend that. Now, this is from some other project. So what you'd want to do is copy that right there and put it right in there. And if you want the preview, the new stuff, always want the new stuff, preview, make.preview.powerapps.com. So if you want to see what that looks like, and there's a good possibility that the environment that you're trying to get at with that URL has to have the option turned on to get releases early. Okay, so number 1 was the email. So it's going to email to me or whoever's actually running it, you know. So yeah, you'll want to error handler email. So we can make this better right away. Now keep in mind we could have left everything alone, but I like to be very thorough. thorough. Like to be thorough when I go over things. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to paste. Boom. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to put in here FX original developer emails. So let's put that in. I'm going to use a semicolon, superpowerlabs.co. And I think those are the only two that I do development in at this point. So that's in there. And are we Darren? Are we Darren? Of course, this is going to be a Boolean. And to find in here, we're going to use the find function. Okay, so what we're looking in is that, comma. Actually, that needs to be the second parameter. Find text. Now, what this is going to be is whoever the user is. And I would recommend that you guys have one in here for you, current developers of this app. There we go. All right. Well, something that we can do. So we'll go look for email. And we're going to be looking for that email in the original developer's email. Now, we got to be careful with find. I wish it didn't do this, but if it doesn't find it, it returns a blank. Oh, thank you, Mark, for joining. I'm starting to feel like I was talking to myself. Nobody, I know there's several people watching, but nobody's saying anything. Okay, this is interesting. I don't know. I need to research how to be able to put things on the screen, like when somebody comments. I like to do that whenever I'm answering people's questions, so everybody else sees the question. So I put your email here. And we really don't need that anymore because we have the current developers. I got to write this in a way so that when I put the file out there and hundreds, over time, thousands of people are using this code, I figured this out really quickly. People don't necessarily set things up. like your email here, you know, people are just trying to create their app. They're not like, oh, I need to go in here and change this because I'm spamming Darren for every single error that goes on. So anyway, so I'm going to look and see if I'm in there. Are we Darren? Now, I'm going to say, I don't care. See, if it is found, it returns a number where that thing starts. So if I'm in this tenant right here, I don't care the character. I just want to know if it's in there or not. I'll replace this. Okay. So we're going to say is blank. Now, have you guys ever noticed this? If you were to hit tab, it would be sort of messed up. Now it looks like my camera has frozen up. So I'm going to try to hide myself and then turn me back on. Nope, that didn't get rid of it. let's try my integrated webcam that has a sock over it, so you guys won't be able to see me, but gee whiz. I'm going to change this over to my NVIDIA broadcast. If you guys ever do stuff like live streaming or even, you know, when you're in like a virtual meeting, you should check out this NVIDIA broadcast. You know, it can actually get in between your camera and other pieces of software and provide filters and some other stuff. Okay. So now I'm going to hit close. There I am. I'm tiny. Um, and over in broadcast, I'm going to turn it back to my Nikon Z6 and action. Take a second or two. Man, why can't stuff just work? Or is it going to come around? Is it going to do it? Your camera source changed. Yeah, it did. Then I've got a Dell webcam that looks at behind my monitor. So guys, if you, well, it's not showing it, but gee whiz, why is it not updating it? Just when I thought I had all these technical issues out of the way. All right, I think what I'm going to do now is not use the broadcast and just switch it back to Nikon. And it should start working. It usually does. Any day now. Ugh. And it's not a big deal if you guys don't see my face. I just think it's more personable. So much of our communication is body language or facial expressions. And I think the percentage is 60%. You understand people by body language and their facial expressions. Now, 67% of statistics are pulled out of thin air. So keep that in mind. Oh man. So now I'm waiting for that thing to come back. And you know what? As long as you guys can see my screen here, I'm just going to move forward until it comes back up. Okay. So what we're interested in knowing, oh, this is what I was about to say. I want to put a function right before find. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, oh, is blank, and you hit tab. What? It just took out my find. Like, what the heck? All right, so we got find in here. What I've trained myself to do is always put a space and then type what I want to add. Once I add that, then I can hit delete. And we've got this over here. Now, if it's blank, I need to reformat my code a little bit. Did that over. Okay. If it's blank, it's not Darren. So what we need to do is reverse that. So we could put a bang operator there, and that should be good. Now I'm going to take this little function named expression, sorry. And I'm going to move it over here, and I'm just going to paste that there. Are we Darren? It says false. Okay, something's wrong. That's why you should always test what you got when you add something new. You should always assume, be pessimistic that it does not work. Okay. We're trying to find my email in there. And that's my email. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to go look at this and see what Power Apps thinks I am, or what my email is. Okay. Now, I was going to ask, like, did I misspell that? But I think I actually copied it over. All right. Okay. We could copy this guy because it's so much easier to read. Are we Darren? And it's returning a false. It's very weird. I'll delete this small one. Okay. So that is returning false. Oh, we're looking at current developers. Here we go. Okay, so this should work now. True. I'll show you something else that I got from Matthew Devaney that I put in all my apps. It's just awesome. And I'm going to say, I'm going into, oh, there it is. It's at the top. Okay, yeah, it is in alphabetical order. And it's probably up here at the top. Are we in studio mode? I got Matthew Devaney link there to give him the credit for that. I wish I would have come up with that. I think Matthew Devaney's smarter than I am. All right, so I'm going to go in here and paste that. Okay, so the host object gives you some interesting information, if I may say so myself. I want to copy and paste that guy, and I'll show you what's in there. Notice it says studio. All right, I'm going to publish this and see what it says when I view it as a user. All right, I'm going back over to formulas. And we're just going to find out if it starts with that. And it does start with that. Okay, I'm going to go over to this one. And, well, I need another. Actually need to use it. FX. Say studio. Yeah, is studio mode. True. Okay, now I need to publish that. So if the app is played and we're not in here editing it in studio, we should see that. I'm going to click on, well, I'm going to do a refresh. New version's coming. Okay. There we go. Refresh. And all right, we'll click allow here. And false. We are not in studio mode. And it's true that I am Darren. So there's that. I think I'd like to change the name of it though. Is studio mode. I sort of want to say, are we in studio mode? But yeah, it's fine. All right, I'm going to take that out. And now what email should we use? I think maybe we should keep that in there now. Okay. So what I want to do is, because I can't assume that somebody that's using this template that they haven't changed this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this up to the top so hopefully everybody sees it. I want to make a big deal about it here. Everybody should see this. If I want to get somebody's attention, I just say warning. Copy that, put it there. And then I'll put that. All right. Sometimes I'll do a red ball. Maybe two. And if you look at my app on errors, you'll see that I do that there as well. Okay. You know, this would be, I'm going to get this first. Are we Darren? And I'm hoping that somebody doesn't see this and like, what? I don't need Darren stuff in here. You know, you're welcome to change it and take off all this stuff, but it sort of guards me against people that don't update this. And I started to get thousands of emails. So okay. So let's put this up here. Hey, I see another comment from Jesper from LinkedIn. Have the thing with the tab. Now that was 10 minutes ago. So Jesper, if you wouldn't mind, tell me what you're talking about. Have the thing with the tab. I'm not sure. Okay, studio mode. And then I'm going to put what? Current developers. This is what I want to be like the next thing. Error handler email. All right. So what we're going to say is FX is studio mode. Because if we're in studio mode, I know that you're the developer. Okay. If we are in studio mode, then think about this. Are we Darren? Oh my goodness. What happened? All right, I'm not done with this. Okay. And we're not Darren. Then we're gonna say user.email. Boom. I don't know why it's giving me a problem. The third parameter is optional. Okay. Otherwise, might actually put this down here. End of email stuff. Because as you get to know and like the app formulas, you're going to be adding more and more things. Sort of makes it more readable, more maintainable. Oh, that was all the email stuff. Oh, now we're in the defaults type of stuff. Okay. Now I got to consider that, okay, we aren't Darren and we're not in studio mode. Then the user themselves, well, I think I'm going to break this down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is say, need a comma there. Now, I personally like to nest my ifs rather than just have them all listed out. Okay, so this means we are in studio mode. So if we're studio mode, and if we are Darren, we're going to say fx Darren. Where's my emails at? Okay. And then if we're not Darren, we are in studio mode. So that's going to why is that? I guess I didn't indent this right. Okay. I love putting emojis in code comments. This must be you. Okay. Now if we're out of studio mode, you sort of still want those emails going out for errors. What I like to do is I like to know the moment a user has an error, and by the time they get so frustrated they call me, I'm like, yeah, that's already fixed. Just hit refresh. Anyhow, I'm wondering if my video camera will ever come back. So okay, Mark says, why did you not just use an if for are we Darren? The reason for that is being trained by Kurt Larson. So you want to be like Thoreau. You want to make things as simple and cut out all the dross. So okay, so it's a great question. So this is how we would do this. So we would say if, we'll do the find. Now you tell me, Mark, if you were thinking of something else. Oh, and I still need the is blank there. And we need a closing parenthesis. And okay, so let's say this is my email and it will be found here. So it's not blank. So that's a true. So true, comma, false. Is that how you would write it, Mark? Or is this what you're thinking? Because if you're working with, if what you need to come down to is a Boolean true or false, then this is going to return true or false. Why compare that with a true and false where this is going to essentially do the same thing? So you added an if here, and so you're making the CPU work a little harder. Not that much harder. But with inefficiencies like that, you're like, that won't matter. But if you think about it, if you have a loop and it's going to go through the loop, I don't know, hundreds or thousands of times, then that that becomes more noticeable. And somebody's at my door. When I open up my smart doorbell app. Okay. I think that the wife will be able to answer. Family member. Okay. So Mark, let me know about that. So I'm going to copy this and put that there. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it back. There we go. Did that a little more. Now something is wrong up here. What is it? Oh, I had a comma here and we haven't taken care of that. Okay. So this must be you, app creator, because you're in studio and you're not me. Okay. So if we're not in studio mode, I need to have an email here. And you know what? I need to know, because anybody can go in here and change this text. So I could test for this, but somebody could type something else in there that is not an email address. What do? Well, you head over to Darren's Power Apps Snippets, and we're going to go look for a regular expression. I don't have that. Trying to think where it's in here somewhere. And let's go to functions. No, these are the stock functions. Let's go into, well, I could just do a search for it here. Match. No, it's not the one I was looking for. Okay, this must be it. Yeah, is match. No. Ugh. Okay, go into app formulas. Regular expressions. Gee whiz. I feel like I need to put that in a folder there. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to paste that. Oh, oh, oh. It's usually going to be used for input validation. Why is find better than just comparing the emails? That's a good question. So for this, are we Darren? I guess down here. Now, if you look at the email addresses I have, I've got two of them because I might be doing development in this tenant. I might copy this file over to a different tenant. So, gee whiz, if I didn't do this, you know what I would have to do? If I wasn't able to do that, I'm going to say for all, let's loop through Darren's emails. The original developer emails. Okay, we're going to loop through that. I'm going to do that. And for each of them, I always use aliases. I have learned my lesson. Actually, this week earlier, I'm like, is using an alias really necessary? And then it reminded me why I use it because the code wouldn't work. I typically say my. Okay. So what we're going to look for here is it's probably just value. Oh, you know what? We need to say, we need to cut this up. So concat, no, the opposite of concat, which is split. Let's split this based on semicolons. Now, if you've thought of a different way than just using a for all, Mark, please let me know in chat. We can explore that. But these are great questions. So right now I've got two of them in there, and so we'll get two items. So we're just going to loop around twice based on that. Okay. So what we can look for is my dot value equals the user email. And I'm hoping that it doesn't have a semicolon in there. I got to take out that semicolon. Now, what is this going to do for us? Meaning the for all, what is it going to give us? So I'm returning a Boolean. So what I got to figure out, let's go use this guy. And let's create a new screen. And let's first put it in a label. Okay, so I returned a table of Booleans. All right. So how am I going to deal with a collection of Boolean values and sort of and them all together? So what we would do, what I would need to do is put them all together. And how we put them all together would be concat. So we're going to concatenate all the values. Okay. And And what's funny about this is I want to do a find in this, which takes us back to what we had before, you know. So Mark, if you know or anybody knows of how you would do this without doing my find method, let me know. But let's see what that gives us though. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of a way to not use find. Okay, Mark says, which one is better as far as in fetching data? Uh, okay, I'm going to go back up to the code and this is what I had before. And this is it's just going to find it. It's just looking for a string within a string. I think that is um, about as efficient as you can get as long as the find was coded in an efficient way. But I mean, creating loops for this, ugh, that doesn't seem very efficient. But I feel like I'm challenged here to find a way because we're just looking for one true. And oh, I know. Okay, check this out. We're gonna do. We're going to filter this. Oh, where so I'm only going to pull back the trues and then I can do a distinct on it. That would give me just one value. Actually, let's what's it complaining about? Expected a text value. Of course, you're expecting a text value. Oh, is that not? Huh. We're filtering them. Okay, if I look at that, it's going to be text. But when we put it in there, no, this needs to be FX original developer emails. Oh, there we go. So we're doing a filter on that. And what I'm going to do is copy and paste this because I'm not understanding what the error really is. It does not like that. Okay. Invalid argument type. Okay. Yeah, it's just a string. Okay. We would need to do a split. There we go. And then in this thing, I'm going to say count rows. So this should tell us how many email addresses are in here. So we split it on the semicolon. And let's go down to the font. And so there's 3 email. Is that actually true? I thought I only had 2. I think what it does, it saw 2 delimiters. So this is the first item, that's the second item, and this is a blank third item. So we could take out that last semicolon if we want to. Now we got 2. All right, so we need the split up here. So now we're going to put that in there. And we're going to filter that. Split. These are just going to give us the email addresses. We need to see if the value I would have to do something like if the value equals that. What is it complaining about? Expected to text value. And this should give us yeah, it's a table. Okay. Combo box. If you want to look at put that in there. What? All right, let's look at these fields. Yeah, it's just value is the only thing we got. All right, so if I select this, I should be able to see it. Okay, there we go. So over here, expected a text value. Okay, I know what's going on. The label is expecting some. Let's do account rows. Okay, at least for now. Then I would say, or this guy right here. Boom. All right. So we split them. Then we filter these guys. And I would say whatever is returned, that would give us our things there. Okay. And what I'm going to do is say distinct on value. So if I'm in there, we'll have a true and a false. If I'm not in there, then it will be false, false. So we say distinct on that, but we might as well say equals true. And yeah, we're filtering at this point. And what we're going to do is we're going to filter back. Trying to think here. Is that what I want to do? Just filter. No, something doesn't sit right with me on that. I think what we should do is filter on the filter. As weird as that sounds. Yeah, if anybody wants to take a crack at how to change this so we don't have to do another filter, I'm all ears. Filter. Guess I don't need that. Okay, so filter. And then down here, we'll say where the value. Oh, that's weird. This thing just popped up. Let me. Okay, fix that. So we should get, let's say, one true, one false. And we're going to say, now I could say value equals true, but the values here are Boolean. The or creates a Boolean. So if I'm only looking for the trues, this would be true. So I don't have to say equals true. So that, just saying value is more efficient than using another operator, the equal sign. Okay. So let's see if this thing works. We're doing a distinct on the value. So if a true's in there, true is the only thing that's going to be given. And there's not going to be any false going to be returned because we filtered that out right here. Now, I think I could have said equals true. Your original code is efficient. The second it makes it clear to understand. Yeah, that's why I'm taking all the time to do this. Like, if you didn't think of what I did the first time, like, how am I going to do this? I'm showing you how you could do it, and so you sort of add that to your, like, all the options in your mind for different problems. So I believe that what I put down here was going to work. And don't need that. And that should be good. Okay, so if I select that thing there, I've got a table. Oh my goodness. What? This makes no sense. So we're splitting up and we check to see if the value is this or the value is that. Okay. Blank vertical. Okay, look at that. Oh, you know what? We do a filter on this, and this is the criteria. So I think what I'd like to try here is let's see what this thing gives us. No. Control home. Okay, there are the two emails. And for the template fill, let's make this color.white. Very good. Okay, so those are the two emails. And what I did, I think it was here. So that's what that gives us. Oh. Look at this. Filter. True. And of course, it's going to give us delegation warning. Huh? This predicate is a literal value and does not reference the input table. So me putting true there means it's going to return everything. So why would we even be using filter there? So we'll say equal true. So we're filtering that. Now, what if we were to try to make this a little more readable here? Where those are true. So we got a listing of I wonder if we did a distinct here. Huh. Okay. And now it wants to know what the field is that we're going to use, which is value. And what should be in the value should be Booleans. And it should only be giving me the true ones. So I shouldn't have any false ones in there. So let's take all that out. Take that out. All right. How many counts do we? Yeah, we do need it. We do need a filter here. Because split. I'm going to say that. Ugh. What is the problem? Received one, expected two or more. Okay. All right, let's see what is in here. By going over here and doing a Control A, Control V. Wow, okay. Mm-hmm. So the split gives us emails. And this stuff would be good for a filter. So I'm not sure that we can get away without and we would have to say that value equals true. And I guess I need a parenthesis there. I still get email addresses. Why? This has got emails. That gives us a Boolean value. Hmm. Split. So that's emails. And these values oh, you know what? There we go. No, we still have email addresses. You know what? Um, hmm. Yeah, we don't need those parentheses. Simplify, simplify, simplify. The value. Oh, you know what? Mark, you should have told me to use an alias. So now I'll say my dot value. If you don't use an alias, sometimes it only looks at the first record for some reason. But okay, what do we get now? Email addresses. That or equals that. Okay. Hmm. You know what I am going to do? I'm going to force. I don't know the order of precedence between these two operators. So let's put parentheses around those. Oh my goodness. What is going on? Why would that be giving me email addresses at that point? As my dot value equals this one or this one? All right. So what I'm going to do here, I feel like I've been defeated. Okay. Okay. Tab that over. And I'll say equals true. Oh my goodness. What is going on? Why would that return email addresses? Maybe this is a bug in PowerFX. So we're filtering and we're doing all this stuff to find out. Gee whiz. If I put in another label in here, and what I did for the label, oh, Windows V. And instead of that, we'll say this item. Of course, both would be true. Okay. So we got to a Boolean here just by doing that. So why wouldn't that work here? And I thought it was weird that we're filtering. Oh, okay. This thing right here is a table of email addresses, which I knew. And then yeah, I look at that. My value equals that. Hmm. Hmm. Um, Gee whiz. Well, guys, I'm gonna say that if I can't figure it out, uh, within I don't know 30 minutes, 45 minutes, it's just crazy boring for a live stream. So I'll think about that, or I'll go back and investigate that because I, I think it should work. And if it shouldn't work, then I need to get to the bottom of it and understand why it didn't, so I never think that that's an option, you know. So, huh. So I wondered here if we did a distinct on the value. Okay. And then we do a filter where the value is true. Okay. So at that point, we should only have one. So then now I'm going to say first. There's only one in there. So I could use first or last. And then at that point, I'm going to say value. Okay, that should work. But I've got an error up here. So I'm going to comment this out momentarily. Okay. First dot value. Okay. So now let's look at this. Look at that. Okay, so that's how you do that. I was about to give up and then I saw that block of code and then it just I guess all come together there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say another way of doing that would be this. Boom, boom. Okay, I'm going to bring this back in. There we go. Okay, I think that we could probably just get rid of this parenthesis. And then unindent that. Okay. Now I want these guys. Boom, boom. Okay. End of the email stuff. And then here, what I would do is do something like that. Here are declared constants or default values. I don't know that I need all those. Okay, boom. HTML gradient. There we go. Okay. There's that. Oh yeah, we were looking for email. Okay. So we're we're going to make sure the email is formatted properly. And I think that was an alternate way of doing something. Okay, RB Darren. Okay, so what we're going to do now is now there's another email that uses this. Air handle email. Okay, I just commented that out because there was a problem with it. That's what was going on there. right. So we do an if. If we're not, okay, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to say we are being played, not in studio. And over here, developer in Power Apps Studio. And then within that, if we're not Darren, oh, if we are, otherwise we'll use this. So I'm not going to assume that anybody is going to change that. And so we're being played. And then what we'll do, we are going to finally look at this, current developers. If space what we need to do here is say what if there are more than one developers that they put up here? So you got to be pessimistic and think, oh, we can't assume, even though it's not probable, if it's possible. So that's how I treat those situations. Okay, so I'm going to have another named expression here called play. Are we a dev outside studio? And what I'm going to say is if, and I'm going to use the FX is studio mode. As long as it is false. All right, we need to do I think it's going to be really similar to what we have here for the is Darren. But yeah, I don't think we can because we're finding in there. And you know what? That actually would work. So check this out. So we're going to find the person that is playing the Power App. This needs to go back. And we need this thing right here. So we'll get that. And Oh, we went down here. We're going to look for it in there. And so we won't have to do a regular expression check, because if they kept it this, then their email wouldn't be found in there. Okay. Are we dev outside? And current developers right there. Okay. Then we will use that. Now, on the else block here, we still need an email. So at that point, should we send it to somebody? Okay, so that's a regular user. I guess the question is, do you, when I say you, I'm talking about individually, you as individuals that are watching this. Would you want your users to get the emails? And we would almost need a constant down here that would say fx carbon users. And I know in my apps, I would want, like, if I can't be reached, I at least want somebody to know what's going on, you know? So I would say true there. Okay. So an if we should carbon users, then we'll say user email. Otherwise, I mean, we don't have any good email address to send it to. You know what would be good is I've got a little snippet of code that gives you the domain. I think maybe if I do a search for domain, no? It might be in here. Archive, no. Okay, this will get the root of our SharePoint site. Okay. What I would do here It's like a one last try to get somebody. So what we're going to say is user email. And what we're going to do here is we are going to split that up based on the @ symbol. And then we're going to look at the last part. So that should give us the domain. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say support. But we need to put in the @ symbol, I'm pretty sure. Isn't that cool? All right, so I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put that guy right there. Look at that. So, like in the doaccelerator.com, I don't have a support email. Maybe I should create one. Okay. But we still haven't finished up. All right. So we're going to use that. If we shouldn't be carboning in the users on errors, and I feel like this should be named something more appropriate. Ooh, that didn't take me where I was wanting to go. Should we carbon here? Should we carbon users on emails? I'm sorry, on errors. Because I'm sure there's going to be other instances where you need to send out emails, and I wouldn't want somebody to use that. Okay. Here we go. Now, what is up with all these? Oh, I know what's going on. So in app on air, you see that? I followed my own advice, but I added a lot more logic to it to make it really smart. Now, what's good about all this time that we've spent in here, this is some really good stuff that we just did, and we need to put it not only in GitHub, but over in our Jumpstart Kit 3. We got all kinds of cool stuff in here. Okay. So looks like there's a fair amount of you that are sticking around. So I'm gonna take that as a sign that you'd like me to continue here. And what I'm gonna do is, what do we have? We need to have something like that. Right there. I'm gonna copy that. Not use that anymore. I'll put down here with the other constants. Okay. Oh my, no. Save. Okay, let's go look at on air. Go to the top. So we got one done. We got two done. Application URL. just use this URL right here. And then I will take this guy, carbon that, then we could get rid of this. All right. Okay, app formulas. And I'm going to say Windows V. I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to say preview. That would be considered like a constant. So I'm going to put it up with the other constants. And I would probably say to have two of these. App studio URL. Because if we're sending any emails to ourselves, then we would use that. Now, what we have to do here is we'll bring this guy up and say copy link. People at this link can play the app. Okay. And what I could do here is say, hey, if you're a developer, get this. But I think for right now, I'm going to leave it alone. Yeah, light gray. Okay. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to comment that out. Formulas. There we go. Go back to on air. Got the gray color. And then we have, it will hold all the errors that have occurred in this session for the user. No changes are needed for this collection variable unless you like to store these in a data source. And I think that's a good idea. Create a database table with all those fields. Create 9 fields. And there they are. So then once you do that, I sort of like the idea. Let's bring up SharePoint. Oh, doesn't like that. The best SharePoint I like is hitting the waffle and then clicking on this. Takes me exactly where I want to go. So I'm going to go look at, I guess these are probably it. And I'm going to create a new site. And I'm going to go with that one. Use template. And I'm going to call this Power Apps Errors. I think that would be good. So that's the name of the site. I'm going to hit next. And I'm going to make it anybody in the organization. So those that are in the accelerator, you know, they could use this. And SharePoint sites, you know, aren't divided up as Power Platform environments. So I'm going to put myself in there as an owner. Ooh, all right. I need to create a new list. And what did I tell myself to do here? It needs to be called Power Apps Errors. And I agree with that. Blank list. Don't show there. Create it. And then I'm going to take all these fields here. And okay, we have a timestamp there. Okay. And I'm going to open this up in Notepad++. Put that there. All right. So we have a title, but I don't think I'm going to mess with that. Let's put in ID. I always like to see that. And probably want to know who created the record. It's the person experiencing the error. Put that in there. Created by, I don't need to know modified. It should never be modified. Is there anything else? Yeah, when it was created. I do want that in there as a date time, because all these other fields are supposed to be single line of text. So let's put that in there. Now this is a message, and I think that could probably be fairly long. And I don't want any type of rich text. Okay, so there's message. And the next one we have is source. You know what I'm thinking about is pulling up, because I want to do this quickly. So in my Jumpstart Kit 2, try to play it. Hopefully I can just get right to the screen. All right. Okay. I'm gonna edit that in a new tab. And if I've never showed, if you've never seen this might blow your mind. I know it would have blown my mind before I'd seen this, but we all can dynamically create SharePoint sites and lists, and it's like really fast. So if you got tons of lists and fields to create, so we're seeing a bunch of errors here. That's actually great, because what I want to do, list and edit screen. Is that what I want? Yeah. What I'm going to do is add a new screen here. Blank vertical. And then here we'll say COL app errors. And you guys will see what this looks like. You know what would be actually really easy if I just said table and use the modern table. It's actually sort of cool. Items will be COL app errors. And what this does, it just figures out all the things that are in there. Delete that gallery. There we go. We'll click on Edit and Add Fields. Look at this. Now, was that 9? Yeah. And there we go. Now, I'm going to try to remove stuff that I know isn't long. Like, right now I don't care about the screen, what screen it happened on. And I also don't care about the timestamp, at least not now. And of course, these are going to be my email addresses. So this HTTP response might be really long. So it looks like identity token. So there's something going on with authenticating. Status code 401. Oh, trying to retrieve data from the network. Do we have any? Yeah. That's the problem, is all this other stuff hasn't been created yet in this tenant. Okay, so we will remember that that response there can be long. And this doesn't seem very long, but maybe it could be in the future. And it's going to tell you, this happened in a component, the app user, and this is in a container. Okay. Then we could go over to the source, which looks like the exact same thing. Okay. I'm going to go over here and go to the SharePoint place. Okay. And I'm going to go like this. And it's not showing me the site yet. If for some reason it takes a while for the flow, and it uses HTTP request in the flow of SharePoint, and it should refresh if I go to a different screen. What's the name of my new site here? Power Apps Errors. See? I'm sort of hoping it's just going to be a few seconds. Okay. Let's go back to this guy. It says home screen. Okay. I would think that would be home. Oh, that just takes me to profile management. Okay. So I'm going to click on the SharePoint. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up fresh new, but there's no way to get there. All right. So here is the name of it. And let's go into the app formulas where we got all the menu items. And I'll take this, paste it there, and then I'll cut that. There's the screen. And I'm going to take all that out. And I'm going to say false on the image. And I need to pick an icon now. We'll go with the globe. Okay. I'm going to publish that. Okay. And now I see it on the menu. So I'll go home and then I'll go back over here to dev. And I'm hoping to see that new site. And I don't. No. Yes, refresh. Okay, finally let me in. Ugh. Okay. Gee whiz. I'm just going to go ahead and create them. That's taken a while. So we got message is the last thing we had there. So let's add in the source. Okay, we're going to add that. We're going to add in observed. And another one. This HTTP response, I think that could get long. And then we have the status code. And I'm going to put in a date timestamp. And I'm going to leave it as single line of text. And you might think, no, I should make that date time. Well, we've got a created that's going to tell us. And there was some reason I left it as single line of text. I don't remember. I just knew that I made the decision for some reason. And it might become evident if I go over and look at the code some more. Okay, users email. And this is at the point where, can I add more items from here? Add or remove fields. See, I'm just going to go to list settings. It's easier that way. User's email. And then user's name. Ooh. Okay. So we have all those fields in. And we need to go back to book a room. To make sure that we pull that data source in. And let's go. I'm going to click home. And the URL seems a little bit long. So what I do is I click on this little square and get that. So you paste that there, we'll connect. Now we got our errors. All right, there we go. Yeah, so there's all the fields. Now if we go to the bottom, we're going to patch. Doesn't seem to like that. I do want to clear that out. This, by the way, is a really fast and quick way of patching over more than one row at a time in one shot. But sometimes it gives me this error, and usually I just work through it. But I think now what we're going to do is I guess I'll do a first on that collection, and then we clear it out. And it's not going to allow me to do that. Kind does not exist. Interesting. The column with the most similar is okay. We do have kind there. So I must have missed that. See, there's the kind. And the kind is an error code, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go into the settings. Kind. Okay. Now, over in my template here, if you go look at errors, we have kinds. And this is typically all you know. You just get these numbers. But I found out what all these mean in the documentation, so I created a collection. So that's nice. All right. So I'll go ahead and add it while I'm thinking about it here. And if I go over to the formulas, and I'll use a square bracket there. FX error kinds is what I would call that. There we go. Of course, we need a semicolon at the bottom there. And let's go back to the errors. Yes, we have the kind. So let's put a button in here. Let's cause an error to occur by dividing by 0. Click. Oh, there we go. Go back to on error, and it still seems to have an error. Kind does not exist. Okay, so it's in the database, but yeah, it's right there. Why don't we have a kind there? Should be there. That's important to put in there. So I need to go find my snippets. And we'll go with errors. There we go. There's kinds in there now. And it's in there. So it goes through and creates all of these, and it puts it in the call app errors. And so we got message, we got source, we got observed, we got the response, we got the status code, we have a timestamp, we have a screen name, we got the user's name, but we don't have a user's email. That's interesting. Okay, we need to. All right. So I'm going to hit Control S to save that. I'm going to go over here, commit it, and sync. Then it should go out there. And then there's kind. There. Okay, so we got message, we got source, we got observed, HTTP response, status code, we got the timestamp. Interesting. In the user's name and email is included in the email, but they would always be the same. So when we start constructing the email, yeah, look at that. A report for, boom, the user's name and their email address. So those two pieces of information would be the same all the way through an HTML table. Okay. Feeling good about that. And I have a whole video about that. And I need to consolidate this because over here I've got an on air. And here I've got the YAML. This, I think, was what I had put in there most recently. I'll do that later. Okay. So this guy should be up to date. I'll refresh and errors, catch all errors. That should have been committed. Okay. Catch all errors over here. Add a space to it to sort of force it. Okay. Four days ago. Okay, I don't know what's going on with that, but I'll have to figure that out later. Where is... Yeah, this is it. Okay. Shoo. All right, I'm going to hit this button again. And I want to see if I'm getting these emails. Yeah, Mark says that needs to be its own app. Too good. Are you talking about the error stuff? Oh, look at this. Errors occurred. Um, and if you look in the repository in the on air, you could download the MSF file that has it, if that's what you're talking about. Now, I probably need to look everything over and update it as I make improvements. Okay. Now, what were we doing here? Oh, we're working on this screen. All right. So I'm gonna probably go for another 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna end this stream. And hopefully, you guys really enjoyed this and want to watch the others or start attending the workshops. So there isn't a lot of people that come to the workshop, so that's actually a good thing for you. So you'll get a lot of individualized attention, and yeah, you'll get all your questions answered too. So in the on visible, what am I doing here? Global date change. My name dot mail. It needed to be lowercase. So here's a reference. Now, I'm going to copy that. Get events. Now, get events. Oh, there's a third version now. Okay, so it's GB on my calendar. What about FX my calendar? So let's see if we have anything in here. Yeah, it's all over the place. In fact, the app on start, yeah, we need to fix the stuff in the app on start. Oh, the SharePoint maker. I absolutely agree with you there, Mark. I plan on doing it when I get around to it. If I ever get free time. Okay. Now, what is the deal here? Calendar get. Okay. I'm going to do that. Ooh. Wow, it's not even going to help me out here. Let me see if it gets me that now. Okay, well, maybe I'll do this somewhere else. Let's just put a button down here. Oh, you know what's missing? Outlook. All right, get tables. Oh. Calendar, get table. Okay, so there is a version 2. And what does it take? Huh. All right, well, let's see how that works out for us. Sort of doing a lookup here. Now, if I just don't give it anything more, invalid argument type. Let's see if we can get a table value out of that. And we'll use that as the source. Okay. No errors in the query. And we can see what the fields are. It's just dot value. Okay. Okay, so what we need to do is say dot value there. Remove that. Add the fields. We have ID, name, and owner. That's what it should give us. And as you can see, these are all of the calendars. Okay. ID, name, and owner. I'm going to type that up here in Notepad++. ID, name, owner. And we'll go back to on start. And you notice I go over here, these little red dots. Just click on that. And go down there very quickly. I don't need to scroll up a little bit because value, dot value. All right, I think that's going to work. Now it's looking for a display name, and there is no display name. It just has a name. And then we'll do a lookup on calendar localized label. What is that? Oh, COL. There we go. What's inside that? Well, let's go look at it. There we go. Now, are those really the fields? Nope, just found. I guess I got to say value. Does not like that. Let's see if I can look in this table. I can't do the value. Let's see where this is created over in the app on start. That might lead us to what's going on here. Oh, it creates this. Is that true? That's so we do a collect. Oh, okay. So it actually is value is the name of the field. So these are names of languages. Okay. So value is right on. That should work just fine. And I'm going to look And it's not display name. It's just name. I don't think that's right, though. Set my calendar. Okay, that needs to be renamed. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the stock version, and in the OnStart, I'm going to go see what they were doing here. Yeah, they have display name. So that's a field from this guy. Now, does it have a display name? I don't think it does. I just think it has a ID name and owner. ID name and owner. But you notice that these are not names of languages, though. So, am I looking at this right? That makes no sense for me. So, yeah, that makes no sense. My calendar. First of all, let's look at this .name thing. Okay, that should be lowercase. And I guess it's fine with all that. What's in my calendar if it did run correctly? Okay, I just ran that code. Of course, we have an error down here. Now this is probably name. And this is probably name. This needs to be lowercase. Okay. So, yeah, it's a little dangerous to have an error anywhere in app on start because sometimes none of it will run, or at least everything after that won't run, and we've got more stuff. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, this is weird. So it looks like languages, but why do we have calendar there? Look at that. Oh, these are names. Interesting. Okay. Well, why don't we have another thing in there that says... So it's trying to get this middle guy. Okay. I'm starting to get it now. Huh. Very cool. All right. Okay. Well, all of our errors are satisfied. I want to sort of look back at this this thing here so I can better understand it. So yeah, that should give us now. Okay, this my calendar needs to be renamed with COL. No, it's actually global. And we got 21 places. We need to match the whole word. So it says 21, but I guess I got to refresh it. Now it's 2. Okay. So it's going to, it almost looks like it's, yeah, for some reason I don't think that one got changed. Okay. All right, I'm going to delete that guy. And okay. Now what I wanted it to do was get to the screen. Now, my question is, okay, it's just using open sans just arbitrarily. Even though I like it, it should be pulling in that. And really, there's no reason why a label like this can't be. Okay, the height, and that's a label. Okay. So we've got a label on top of label. So we'll say height there. No, that needs to be height. There we go. Now, why? I think this is a classic one. Yeah, it is. It is a classic one. Okay. So the height is 50, but here it's 90. That doesn't make any sense to me. Uh-huh. What? Sometimes I get to a point where my brain stops to not wanting to work. So yeah, we got this LBL screen heading, and I click on this, and I say it's the same thing. Okay, I'm gonna select the whole thing, and it says 90. Is it though? I'm gonna go to a different screen. All right, I got a little trick for this, which is I just hit the refresh button and it just loads it all back in, and hopefully it just works. So, Mark, do you have any good dad jokes for us today? Of course, the answer is going to be yes. And he's got really good dad jokes. Why? Now it's 48. Now it says 90. What is going on? Okay. You know what I'm going to do just to keep my sanity here? Oh, what's this? We got errors over here? Organizer. You know what? I wonder if we have email. Let's try organizer. It's lowercase. All right, now that's fine. Here's another variable that needs to be set up. All right. I'm going to say LOC heading height. I'm going to make it 90. I'm going to click on a different screen and come back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click both of those guys. And for the heading, oh my goodness gracious. It says it's blank. What? Why is it blank? It says 90. Wow, what am I doing wrong? It says it's blank? Really? Wow. It says 90 there. Now, we're on the same screen, right? I mean, it says blank. That's crazy. So now what I'm going to do is go into formulas. And instead of that, I'm going to call it FX heading height. And it's going to be 90. So that's declarative, which is nice. Now we're not going to use that anymore. And I'm going to click on that label right there. Go there. Very good. Phew. 8 bytes. Walk into a bar. The bartender asks, "Can I get you anything?" Yes. Reply the bytes. Make us a double. That's funny. And if I remember correctly, a double is a 2 byte, 8 bytes. Yeah, I'd have to, if you want me to explain that, I would have to refresh my memory. I think a double is a data type for, but yeah. But I love your jokes, Mark. Now what I'm going to do here, oh my goodness gracious, why does that say, look, it says 50 here. Why? So you guys see the height there, 90? And I go over here and it says 50. And it's looking at the same thing. Nothing makes sense. All right. Well, guys, that's another thing I need to look into. That is just really strange. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and